Hi everyone, this is Gonzalo Burgos. This is one lesson about something that I've been learning recently. It's about Vedic Astrology. I never thought it's gonna be so helpful for us, but it's very helpful. I've been looking for another questions and answers about my life and about what is gonna happen, and it has been helped me a lot. So one of the things I want to talk about today, and it's gonna help me and help some of y'all. It's about spouse prediction by Vedic Astrology. I'm gonna explain the basic stuff and I'm gonna apply at the same time with my natal chart. There is two basic stuff that you need to make sure. You need to know about the time of your birth. You need to know about the time, the place, and the date you were born because it's very important. In my situation, I was born on August 10, 1988 at San Salvador, El Salvador, and I was born at the 22 hours 35 minutes, 10:35 p.m. And with that, I just want to make sure that my ascendant is Pisces, and we're gonna run for it. So the first thing you make sure whenever you try to predict a spouse is on the seventh house of your ascendant. My seventh house is located on the sign of Virgo. Virgo is the sign who rises as the descendant, at the opposite of descendant. So with Virgo, we can have the characteristics of being a practicality, troubleshooting, very rational, very simple, and very logical partner. So with that said, Virgo, as a sign, we have to make sure that we have to count the ruler of the sign of Virgo. The ruler of the sign of Virgo is Mercury. Mercury, what is Mercury? Mercury is the planet of intelligence, of quickness, the planet that moves fast, really fast. So in addition to Virgo, we can say that my spouse is going to be all the characteristics above. On top of that, we can describe about the physicalness of my spouse. Mercury is the smallest planet in the constellation, about the 7 planets, physical planets. So I might say that Mercury, meaning my spouse, it can have some kind of short stature. So with that said, we have described about Mercury. Another thing we need to make sure about Mercury is about the placement on the chart. Where is Mercury at? Mercury is located in the 6th house from my ascendant Lagna. So that means that the 7th Lord has been running 12 places to be in on the 6th house. So what that means that it's going to be some kind of loss and some kind of loss and some kind of confusion, because 12 means losses, 12 means confusion. So my spouse is going to be some kind of loss to me and some kind of confusion. On top of that is on the 6th house. The 6th house is the house of the daily routine. The 6th house is the house of obstacle. The 6th house is the house of troubleshooting, enemies, debts. So my spouse is going to be some kind of relation with all that I mentioned above. On top of that, we need to make sure the sign where the 7th Lord is placed on the sign of Leo. Leo is creativity. Leo is authority. Leo is high status, is regal. So my spouse is going to have some kind of these characteristics mentioned above. Now, we need to make sure that we have conjunctions with the 7th Lord on the same house. In this case, it's Ketu. Ketu is the planet. Well, it's not the planet. It's the shadow of the moon, who indicates losses, who indicates disattachments, who indicates karma. So my spouse is going to be something related with that, most likely with the karma. Some karmic bond is going to be related. Now, as we have analyzed, we're going to go a little bit deeper. Something that in Vedic astrology is called nakshatra. The nakshatra is a constellation behind the scene of a zodiac sign. So the nakshatra where my 7th Lord is placed is called Maga, the king, the throne, the ancestors, the past. So my spouse is going to be something related with that also. So with that said, we have analyzed the 7th house and the 7th Lord. Now we're moving to the second factor, the second planet we need to study every time we want to predict a spouse by Vedic astrology is about Venus. Venus is the spouse itself. We need to analyze the placement, we need to analyze the sign, we need to analyze everything regarding of that. So Venus, in my chart, is placed on the 4th house. The 4th house is about um, home, is about status and intimacy. So my Venus is located on the 4th house. It means that it's gonna have all about those characteristics. And now the sign. The sign is on Gemini. Gemini means communication. Gemini means quickness. Gemini quits movement fast. So in addition to Mercury, that makes double prediction about the same thing about my spouse. Then moving about the nakshatra where my Venus is placed is called Ardra. Ardra means the storm, the stormy, in order to have a better future. With that, my spouse is going to have the characteristics to be a stormy person that can cause some kind of destruction, some kind of frustration, some kind of disappointment in order to get a better result. So with that, we have something now built about Venus and some built about Mercury. Another thing is very important to know is about aspect. Aspect means whenever a planet is looking to another, it receives an aspect, receives an effect. Going back to Venus, going back to Virgo, the 7th house lord. Virgo, my 7th house lord, is receiving aspects from the planet Mars, from the planet Jupiter, and from the planet Saturn. With that said, with Mars means that my spouse is going to have a fiery nature, a very aggressive nature, a very conquer nature. And with Jupiter, it means that it's going to have some kind of high intuition, some kind of high knowledge, some kind status. Yeah, philosophical status. And with Saturn, we can say that my spouse is going to have some kind of very logic, very coldness sometimes, and most likely, most important thing is gonna be very mature, very mature. And with that, we can say that Saturn makes the person, physically speaking, a little bit skinny, very skinny, because Saturn is a cold and a skinny planet, like an old man, very skinny. In top, what we said about Mercury, Mercury is gonna be short, so it might say it can be short and skinny. We got two particular characteristics physically about that. About Venus, physically attributes, you can say it's going to be a very talkable person, woman, and it's going to be very, very high intellectual and talks a lot, and some kind of cunning, and some harsh on the speech. Mercury is receiving aspects from Rahu, which is on the 12th house. So that means that my spouse is going to have some foreign culture, or I'm going to meet her in a foreign land. I'm living in the United States, so it's a foreign land, so it's a one point. And at the same time, it's going to be a person very explosive, the character is going to be very explosive, very impulsive, because Rahu is about obsession, very obsessive person. And it's receiving aspects from Ketu. So Ketu makes the karmic bond available, And the last but not least for now is going to be Venus. Venus is receiving aspects from Mars, it's receiving aspects from Saturn, and receiving aspects from Rahu. So with that said, it's very logic. It's very it's very logic that my spouse is going to have all those attributes and characteristics very, very, very noticeable on her. The last point I want to talk about tonight, I'm going to make a second video. Tonight is going to be about Dara Karaka. Dara Karaka is the planet with the lowest degree in your natal chart. Dara Karaka signifies your spouse by your Gemini astrology. Dara Karaka in my position is Saturn. Saturn and is retrograde. Saturn, we talk about the placement of my chart. Saturn is on the 10th house, the house of career, the house of work, the house of fame, the house of status. So my spouse is going to have some kind of attributes regarding of that. So I just want to make sure that with that, Saturn is on the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign of philosophy. So with that said, we can say about Jupiter at the beginning. So it's going to have some kind of attributes about that. So with that said, Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius. So it's going to have a lot of philosophy. And it's conjoined by Uranus and Neptune. On Western astrology, it's kind of difficult because it's very different from Vedic. but I'm gonna apply. You can say he's gonna be a very revolutionary person, and it's gonna get me a lot of confusion because Neptune is basically the illusion you have. So with that said, the last point I want to talk about is going to be the aspects. Dara Karaka Saturn is receiving aspects from Ketu. That's the only aspect it's receiving. And Venus. With that said, it's going to be, once again, like another nail in the table. Karmic bond and destruction. Because the last point is going to be Saturn is on the nakshatra of Mula. Mula is the nakshatra of death. Mula is the nakshatra of destruction, the same as Ardra. So I just want to conclude that my spouse is going to bring a big transformation through my life, through destruction, through frustration, through disappointment, through deception. And I've been noticing, most likely all the women I've been trying to, mate or deal with my life has been in that situation. So this is gonna be the first part of my video. So I hope you can understand me about the terminology I used. And I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna make a second part tomorrow of my video. So hopefully it can be helpful for all of y'all that we are learning astrology. This is my case. Your case is gonna be different. Everybody has a different chart. So it's gonna be different situations. So thank you very much and have a wonderful night, everyone.